Unit number 19, role theory. 20 last unit, this is the 20 unit group process. Okay. Now let us start nature and definitions of attitudes. What do you mean attitude? Anybody? What is attitude?
Attitude means our approach to a particular person or thing or anything towards it.
Can you repeat?
Or it is our response to a particular thing, sir. Our approach to a particular person or environment.
Okay. This attitude may be positive and negative. Okay. Hello. Attitude may be positive and negative. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Just a minute. Hello. Okay. So attitude, we have different attitudes on various issues and environment. Okay. So these attitudes influence the behavior both positively and negatively. Okay. So attitudes have become the central topic in the study of social psychology. So this is very first and foremost important topic in the social psychology. Social process such as group and the concept of role also has a great impact on the behavior of an individual. So let us start unit number 12, that is nature and definitions of attitudes. In this, first we'll discuss about introduction. For example, sometimes people are completely neutral about anything like sports, music, welfare, politics, etc. Okay, so they don't have any opinion about these issues like sports, music, welfare, politics, psychology, so on and so forth. So they are neutral, neither positive nor negative. In some other issues, they have some opinions. Okay. For example, advertisers are constantly trying to change our attitudes in such a way that we actually behave differently and buy the CD or extra pair of jeans that we don't need. Okay, we may come across so many advertisements about real estate or different things. Okay, so in that they really attract us to buy their products, even though we don't need that, but they try to drag our attention towards their product, towards their marketing skills. Okay, we eventually buy those products without any necessity. Okay. So an attitude is a relatively enduring organization of beliefs, feelings, and behavioral tendencies towards socially significant objects, groups, events, or symbols. So this is the definition of attitude. An attitude is a relatively enduring organization of beliefs. Okay, in this attitude, we'll organize our beliefs, feelings, and behavioral tendencies towards socially significant objects, groups, events, or symbols. Okay, sometimes we may form some good opinion about some group, some object, events, or symbols. That is attitude. Another definition, a psychological tendency that is expressed by evaluating a particular entity with some degree of favor or disfavor. Okay, positive, negative, favor or disfavor. It is a psychological tendency that is expressed by evaluating a particular entity with some degree of favor or disfavor. Okay, positive or negative, favor or disfavor. That is attitude. So attitude is a positive or negative effective reaction towards a denoteable abstract or concrete abstract or proposition. Okay, it is a positive or negative effective reaction towards an abstract or concrete objects or propositions. So attitude exists within a person in regard to every object, topic, concept, or human being that person encounters. So we may have different attitudes towards different objects at the home, office, so on and so forth. Okay, so we form attitude towards every object, every topic, concept, or human being. Okay, that person encounters. We may encounter so many objects in a day, so many topics, so many concepts. Okay, we will meet so many persons, but we may have different opinions towards different objects, different topics, concepts, or different human beings. So, so a person's attitude influences the way in which he or she perceives and responds to the world. So again, it depends upon our individual differences. Okay, so you may think about a positive side of that particular object or person or concept, it will give positive results. If you think in a negative way, everything is negative. Okay, so your thinking matters, whether you are thinking on a positive line or negative line. Attitudes do not exist in isolation. For example, if a person has an unfavorable attitude towards the government, it includes his belief about the function of the government and also about his own views of perfect government. Therefore, it has an important influence on people. For example, we have government, no, state, central governments. So usually ruling party will have positive attitudes towards their government. Opposition parties so ruling party people will always have positive attitudes towards the government. Then opposition parties will always see the negative side of the government. Okay. So they are given some definitions and characteristics of attitude. So an attitude can influence people's behavior. It is the central concept of social psychology. There are two primary approaches which depends attitudes. Attitudes as an evaluation and attitudes as memories. So these are the two approaches. That is attitudes as an evaluation and attitudes as memories. First one, attitude. According to attitudes as evaluation approach, attitudes are learned predispositions to respond consistently in a favorable or unfavorable manner with respect to given class of objects. I'll repeat the same. Attitudes as evaluation approach, attitudes are learned predispositions to respond consistently in a favorable or unfavorable manner with respect to given class of objects. So you can form favorable or unfavorable attitudes towards certain objects. Then second one, according to attitudes as memories approach, attitudes are a set of memories that link cognitions regarding the topic about which the attitude is held to evaluation of the topic. Okay. So attitudes as an enduring organization of motivational, emotional, perceptual, and cognitive processes with respect to some aspect of individual world. So these attitudes related to memories approach. So organization of motivational, emotional, perceptual, and cognitive process. So it includes all your cognitive process, that is your motivation, emotion, perception, and cognitive process with respect to some aspect of individual world. So it all depends upon the individual's motivation level, individual's emotional intelligence, then individual perception, and his cognitive process. This is about second approach, that is attitudes as memories. So they have given some characteristics of the attitudes. First one is attitudes are not innate. They are formed and learned by the individual in relation to the given object, persons, events, and situations. So nobody born with positive or negative attitude towards a particular object or particular thing or person. They are not innate. They are formed and learned by the individual in relation to the given object. So during in due course, you can learn about your attitudes upon different objects, persons, events, and situations. Okay, they are not innate. They are formed or learned by the individual. Attitudes are enduring. They can, however, be changed provided the right conditions influencing change are present. Okay, so these attitudes may not be static, depending on the situation, opportunities, okay, person's interest, motivation, emotion, they may be changed from the time to time. Okay, so you may like some person in particular time, you may dislike that same person in other situation. Okay, so attitudes are not static, it may keep on changing. Then attitudes have subject object relationship. They are always learned in relation to an identifiable referent. Okay, attitudes have subject object relationship. Okay, so it is a relationship between subject and object. Okay, person and object sometimes. Okay, person and object. Okay, depending on your field, your profession, you may like some objects, you may have positive attitude towards some you are in a teaching field, you may like different subjects. For example, teaching learning material, then blackboard, smartboard, PPTs, so on and so forth. For example, you are in a different other field, you may like different things. Okay, that is subject object relationship. Then attitudes involve individual as well as groups. So as an individual, you may have positive or negative attitudes towards certain things, as well as group also, because in our social psychology, group behavior is important. Man is a social being, so without society one cannot live isolation. So always individual influence group, sometimes individual also influenced by the group. So attitudes involve individual as well as groups. Attitudes predispose people to behave in certain ways and conform to the principle of consistency. So sometimes in a certain extent, certain ways, so it follows a principle of consistency. Your attitude may have some consistency over a period of time. Then attitudes have motivational effective properties. So it all depends on the your motivation, whether we may have positive or negative attitudes, what particular thing or subject or concept or environment. It all depends on the your motivational effective properties. Next one is components of attitude. According to the ABC tripartite model, attitudes have three components: an affective component, a behavioral component, and a cognitive component. Affective component, behavioral component, and cognitive component. First one, the cognitive component includes an object label, rules for applying the label, and set of cognitions or knowledge structure associated with the label. It consists of the beliefs which the individual has about the object. Thus, it refers to beliefs about attitude objects. Okay, first one is cognitive component. Includes an object label, rules for applying the label, and set of cognitions or knowledge structure associated with that label. For example, if you visit some supermarket, DMart or more shop, they each object will have label. Okay, idli rava, upma rava. Okay, so Bombay rava. So you can by seeing that label, you can buy particular object. Okay, thing. So this is about cognitive component. Includes an object label, rules for applying the label, and set of cognitions or knowledge structure associated with that label. Second one is affective component. On the other hand, refers to emotions connected with the attitude object, that is whether it is liked or disliked, pleasant or unpleasant. The affective component involves evaluation of attitude objects, and hence it reflects person's values. For example, affective component means your emotions, your feelings, angry, hate, sad, bad, everything with your affective domain. So whether it is liked or disliked, pleasant or unpleasant. Okay, somebody likes sweets, somebody likes to take hard items. Okay, it all depends upon the individual emotional thing. Okay, individual's affective domain. Then attitudes, object, and ends. It reflects person's values. Okay, so based on your emotion, your whether you like or not, whether you liked or disliked or present or unpresent, you can choose particular object. Next one, third one is behavioral component or the action tendency of an attitude involves the behavioral readiness. It involves a predisposition to respond towards the object. Thus, this component refers to likely behavior with respect to attitude object. It is readiness to act or respond regarding the attitude object. This is a behavioral object, your behavior, okay, your response. This component refers to likely behavior with respect to attitude object. So your behavior, it is readiness to act or respond regarding the attitude object. So your readiness to act upon the situation towards the object. So these are the three components of attitude. Then cognitive component refers to the information you have before choosing this course. For example, you want to pursue MSc Psychology, so that is comes under cognitive component refers to the information you have before choosing this course. So what are the different subjects in the first and second semester, first and second year of MSc Psychology? Peer information. Okay. Then you might have heard about it from your friends or read about it, and you believe that it has a great scope. So somebody you may have different friends. Okay, you heard about this course through your friends, or you read some newspaper, or you may come across a university website. Okay. So which means, so after pursuing the MSc Psychology from the Ambedkar University, there are different scopes, there are different job opportunities in the market. So the effective component comes into the picture when you like the subject based on the above information. In our psychology, first and second year, we may have different subjects. No? First one is principles of psychology. Second course is social psychology. Third one is life and development. Fourth one is, what is the fourth subject?
Psychopathology.
Psychopathology. So based on our attitude towards particular subject, we may like some subject more than compared to other subjects. Okay, somebody likes principles of psychology more, then somebody likes social psychology, then other subjects, that is psychopathology or life and development. Okay, this comes under affective domain, and behavioral component is an act and the action part, that is you have chosen to study the course. So taking admission into the Ambedkar University and attending the offline classes and online classes, then submitting assignments. So all your actions, your behavioral component is the action part, that is you have chosen to study the course. So these are the different components of attitudes. Then functions of attitudes. They have mentioned 4 functions of attitudes. First one is adaptive or utilitarian function. Second one is the ego defensive function. Third one is the self-expressive or value expressive function. Fourth one is the knowledge function. First one is adaptive or utilitarian function. This function concerns the extent to which an attitude enables a person to achieve a desired goal and avoid what is socially undesirable. So, as an individual, as a intelligent person, we always want to behave. We always want to behave as a socially desirable way, socially acceptable way. Okay. So whether you are at home or your office or another community, so we always tend to behave socially acceptable manner, socially desirable behavior. Okay, that is adaptive or utilitarian function. So you are adapting yourself, you are adjusting yourself with that particular environment, whether you are at home, school, office, railway station, airport, so on and so forth. So you have to adapt, you have to adjust with your environment. A person to achieve a desired goal and avoid what is socially undesirable. You have to act always socially desirable manner. So attitudes help people to gain approval from others. So with your desirable behavior, with your socially acceptable behavior, so everybody approves your behavior. Okay, everybody likes your behavior. If a person holds or express socially acceptable attitudes, other people will reward them with approval and social acceptance. So if you are doing good job, if we are behaving socially acceptable behavior, then everybody will approve your behavior and everybody will accept your behavior. People develop favorable attitudes towards the objects that are rewarding and unfavorable attitudes towards the object that are punishing or painful. Once the attitude is formed, it helps to evaluate the objects. For example, when people learn that junk food is unhealthy, health conscious people develop unfavorable attitude towards it, as it causes ill health and also it will make them fat and obese, which is socially undesirable. But practically, people likes junk food. Okay, after evening 5 o'clock, many streets are busy with junk food. Okay, they will tend to take they know about the junk food, it is unhealthy. Okay, but many people don't care about their health. But health conscious people develop unfavorable attitudes towards it and it causes ill health. And also it will make them fat and obese, which is socially undesirable. Okay. So for example, now the prices of oil and other items has increased very much. Okay. So this junk food prepared people, they will use the same oil with so many times. So it causes different health issues. Yes. So health conscious people will avoid the junk food. They will develop unfavorable attitudes towards junk food because it causes ill health and also it will make them fat and obese, which is socially undesirable. This is about adaptive or utilitarian function. Next one is the ego defensive function. Attitudes may function to protect the person from acknowledgement of unpleasant truths about himself or harsh realities in his environment. Thus, it protects an individual's ego from his own unacceptable impulses and thus reduces the anxiety and helps to keep the individual's self-image intact. So the ego defensive function refers to holding attitudes that protect our self-esteem or that justify actions that make us feel guilty. For example, an unfavorable attitude is developed towards a co-worker who is more successful than oneself. This attitude helps the individual to protect himself from accepting his own inefficiency. For example, in an organization, there are many people working particular organization, school, college. So sometimes always inefficient people, they won't accept efficient persons in the particular organization. Okay, they try to blame others, although because he has got ego defensive function. Ego defensive function. So if you blame that successful person, then his ego will be satisfied. Okay. So this attitude helps the individual to protect himself from accepting his own inefficiency. He won't accept his inefficiency. Somebody doing good, somebody doing wonders in their job because they are efficient in their job. But whereas some other people, they won't do efficient work, but they won't approve, they won't accept the successful person, efficient person. So they always try to blame because he won't accept his inefficiency. So he needs ego defensive function. Okay, this is about ego defensive function. Then next one is the self-expressive or value-expressive function. This function acknowledges a need to tell others about oneself and one's own mind. The attitude help in expressing to communicate who the person is, and it makes the person feel good that he or she have stated their identity. Self-expression of attitude can also be a non-verbal, such as t-shirts, slogans. The attitudes are part of one's identity and help the people to be aware through expression of the feelings, beliefs, and values. So it is more of self-expression. Okay, self-expression or value expressive function. This self-expression of attitude can also be non-verbal, such as t-shirt slogans. Sometimes you wore a t-shirt like some slogan on your t-shirt. Okay. Thus, attitudes are part of one's identity and help people to be aware through expression of the feelings, beliefs, and values. So, by wearing that t-shirt with a slogan, you can express yourself so other people know about yourself, your feelings, beliefs, and values. So, some attitudes express the individual's basic value and reinforce self-image. Attitude helps to relate to oneself and to others, presenting a very unified image with which others can interact and which helps establish the identity for both oneself and for others. For example, if a teacher has a positive attitude towards a student, it helps them to relate to themselves, their jobs, and to their student in a better way. So if you have a positive attitude towards your teacher, so it helps yourself as well as your students. The next one is the knowledge function. Attitudes provide us with a meaningful environment and guide behavior. Since the world is too complex to understand, people, objects, and events are grouped into a categories and schema as we develop simplified attitudes that allows us to treat individuals as members of a category. So this is a very the world is too big. Okay, so it is too complex to understand people, objects, and events. So they are formed in a group into categories and schema, and we develop a simplified attitude that allow us to treat individuals as memories of category. So our attitude about that category provides us with a meaning, with a basis for making inferences about the person. So stereotypes, for example, are the attitudes that define our expectations about different social groups. This function allows to predict what is likely to happen and so gives a sense of control. Knowing a person, attitude helps us in predicting their behavior. For example, knowing that a person is religious, we can predict that they will go to temple. For example, we have different religious practices, Hindu, Muslim, Christian. Okay, so Hindu people will go and visit a temple. Then Christian will go to church, as Muslims, mosque. Okay, so attitude research infer attitude from the way people react to attitude objects. Such reactions can range from subtle evaluation reactions that people are aware of to more direct expressions of support or opposition in words or deeds. Attempts to assess these different reactions have demonstrated that implicit attitudes can sometimes differ from explicit attitudes. Okay, your internal behavior sometimes differs with the external behavior. That's it. Your implicit attitudes can sometimes differ from the explicit attitude. Your internally something, sometimes you have to behave different with your internal behavior. So internally you have something, but externally you are expressing something. Then formation of attitudes. People from attitudes because they are people form attitudes because they are useful. It affects the way they think, feel, and behave towards a wide range of people, objects, and ideas that they encounter. So attitudes play a vital role in controlling their social environment and to develop relations with other people. Attitudes mainly depend on information such as beliefs about the object, characteristics, feelings, and emotions about the object, and information about past and current actions towards the object. Once an attitude is formed, it becomes the basis for evaluating the object. So once the attitude formed, it is the basis for evaluating the object. So the term attitude formation refers to the moment we make from having no attitude towards the object to having some positive or negative attitudes towards that object. So it is making formation of attitude means you have to form whether good or bad, positive or negative attitude towards the subject, towards the object. So how an attitude is acquired in relation to how it is used as also how often it is used. There are different mechanisms for attitude formation which are discussed. Okay. There are different mechanisms for attitude formation. They are discussed in different ways. That is mere exposure, then formation of attitudes through learning. They have mentioned different learning theories here. That is classical conditioning, operand conditioning, observational learning. So most of the attitudes are learned. Attitudes are formed based on our experiences through socialization. During the course of socialization, attitudes can be learned in two ways. indirectly through classical conditioning or directly through operant conditioning, and also by observing others. So we may learn many things through our experience, directly or indirectly, or sometimes we learn by observing others. First one is classical conditioning. Second one is operant conditioning. Third one is observational learning. First one, classical conditioning. This is a learning process that occurs when a neutral stimulus is associated with the positive or negative stimulus. Due to repeated associations, that neutral stimulus will elicit a positive or negative response. For example, in a study done by the Starts and Starts, national category labeled Dutch was paired with negative words, and the national category labeled Swedish was paired with positive words. Later,
one doubt, sir.
Yes.
In the previous session in our principles of psychology, there is a topic known as learning. There also we came across this classical condition and operant. Is the same thing, sir?
Same thing.
Same thing.
More. They will.
Classical condition that is Pavlov's dog and this experiment.
Yes.
Same
Actually,
thing.
Same thing, but in this attitude, they have given different examples of that.
Sir. Sir, one small doubt, though it is out of context, pertaining there, I forgot to ask. This classical condition, why that name classical came, sir? Why do you call it as a classical? What is classical about it?
Classical means there are no operands there. Okay. It is opposite to operant conditioning. No. Here a stimulus comes first. It is SR condition. Stimulus response. Okay. If you slap somebody, then they will. Okay. If you beat somebody, they will cry. Stimulus response. Okay. That is classical conditioning. Operate means you are operating something. Here response comes first. So whatever is in the classical conditioning, you will tide the hungry dog. Okay. You will use the bell sound, then food. Okay. You will form association. The dog will form association.
Dogs started salivating after listening the bell.
So bell sound, food. Bell sound, food. Sometimes bell sound without food also it started salivation. So it is a conditioning. Okay. So there is association, strong association between the stimulus and response. Bell sound, salivation. Okay. Bell sound, salivation. Bell sound, salivation, food. Okay. Sometimes after the strong association formed between the bell sound and salivation, bell sound and food, then without food also it had started salivation. So that is conditioning. By using this conditioning, you can use this as a behavioral modification technique. Okay, you can give you can change the behavior of the kids. Okay, this is classical conditioning. Means in this there are no operators, whereas in operant conditioning there is a switch. Yes, am I right? If you press the button, then only it receives some food base. So here response comes first. Response and stimulus. Okay. In the classical conditioning, stimulus comes first, then only response. Whereas in operant conditioning, by pressing a button is response. So that is why classical conditioning is called as a stimulus response theory. Here operant condition called as a response stimulus theory. Here response comes first. Okay. In classical conditioning, this is repeated association of Dutch with the negative words led to negative evaluation of the group. Okay. It is similar. Classical conditioning means association between the two things. Stimulus response. Okay. Whether positive attitude or negative attitude. Okay. this association. For example, in a TV, there are fighting between the children. Children will watch always cartoon networks. No, in some if you arrange the students always quarreling between the friends, fighting, aggressive behavior. So by keep on seeing that particular cartoon network story, this kids will develop aggressive behavior among them. Okay, then sometimes you can modify their behavior into then positive, what we call cartoon network stories. They won't follow, they won't learn aggressive behavior. They will be friendly with each other. So it all depends on the stimulus. Okay, in a TV serial, there are many Telugu serials which they will call it as a family stories. There is nothing, they won't show any family relations. They are okay. So many TV serials, they will try to there won't be any family relationships. They always call you between husband and wife. Okay, then fall between sister-in-law and mother-in-law, so on and so forth. So it all depends on the stimulus. So by seeing the TV serials, Telugu TV serials, there are a lot of family issues in general public. So they watch.
I think all kind of serials are other languages also.
Other languages also. They won't promote any human relationships.
Correct.
So second one is operand conditioning. This is a learning process where behavior is reinforced with the rewards and deteriorated with the punishment. So in this operand conditioning, you can increase desirable behavior by reinforcement. Okay, by saying good, very good, so that the child can repeat the same behavior in the future course. If he has done any mistake, then he will get punishment. So by punishment also, he will increase the desirable behavior because this is wrong. That's why I got punishment. So I won't repeat the bad behavior again. So nowadays, in a school, there won't be any corporal punishments. No punishment, no stick, nothing, no abuse, nothing. Okay, whatever he does, teacher has to approve his behavior. That's why in our society there are many bad events are occurring because there is no
punishments,
reward and punishment in the school system. Okay. Yes. Any doubt?
No, sir, you are absolutely correct. Nowadays, schools are not giving any punishments.
It is offensive, no? If you beat some student, they will come to you. They will come to school, and sometimes they will go to even visit the police station also. The next one is observational learning. Am I clear with operand conditioning, rewards and punishments?
Yes,
Then,
sir.
Next one is observational learning. So attitudes are also acquired by observing others. Individuals acquire new forms of behavior or thought, though observing others. This occurs when an individual looks at others and imitates their behavior. Usually, kids imitate their father and mother. Okay, they learn many things through imitation. That is observation learning. So, research has shown that children may learn to act aggressively by watching violent movies or seeing their friends fight. Okay, I have given this example in the classical conditioning also. So if you see daily, if children are watching this watching violent movies in a TV, so they tend to develop violent behavior. They will fight with their siblings. Both children and adults acquire attitudes even though exposed to the mass media, especially television, magazines, and films. So, if you way back in 30 years back, any films, whether Telugu, Hindi, Malayalam, they'll have good family relationships. Okay, they tend to be giant families. So everything, the bondage between the family members, brother and sister, brother and brother, and father and mother relations. Nowadays, everything is a crime. Every scene is a crime oriented, aggressive. So they will intelligently do the crime. They will escape from the situation. Okay. So no values in a movies. Then as well as TVs also, TV serials, then magazines and films also based on the socially unacceptable behaviors. They will do that. The attitude that nuclear weapons are dangerous might be the result of exposure to television and news magazines. The attitude that nuclear weapons are dangerous might be the result of exposure to television and news magazines. So nuclear, if you do the nuclear weapon, it will kill some area, but this violence movies in the television, magazines, and films will spoil the world as whole. The next one is social comparison. Attitude are also acquired through the method of social comparison. It is a process through which an individual compares himself with others to confirm if his interpretation of social reality is correct or not. So usually we always compare our kids with others. Is getting good marks? Is school first or is in the section A with A grade, O grade, so on and so forth. This is it means social comparison. Okay, so if the person feels that his interpretation is more similar to others, he determines that the attitude form is more accurate. So if you score good marks, okay, you are good. So teachers also always try to own the child who is getting good marks. So in a classroom, there are three categories of children: above average, average, below average. So teacher always wants to pamper a good getting above average student only. We are good. So he always neglects. He will have inferiority complex towards the below average student. He never encourage the below average student. That's why they will become dropouts. Okay. That is social comparison. So you might change your negative attitude or form a new attitude towards a new mobile phone if your friends have positive attitude towards it. Okay. So now we are using 3G, no? In some areas there are 4G, 5G mobiles also using. So with more features, advanced technology, okay, then you may have positive attitudes towards the technology. 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G technology. Okay. So this is about social comparison. The next one is genetic factors. So there is rising indication that genetic factors also play a role in attitude. So this is determined by comparing identical and non-identical twins. A high correlation was found among identical twins on attitudes when compared to non-identical twins. What do you mean identical twins? Anybody? Identical twins.
Twins are exactly the same features, sir.
Same features, sometimes same sex, both male, both female.
Okay.
Yes. Non-identical means male, female. Okay. Identical twins are share some same genetic inheritance. It can be said that genetic factors influence attitude. To maximize the effect to environment, the other studies were done on identical twins that was submitted early in life. Even in the studies, it was found that identical twins had high correlation on attitudes. So identical twins they share same genetical genetical inheritance. So they may have same opinion, same attitude. Okay, somebody likes some color. So because of chromosomal genetical inheritance, they will form same opinion upon the object, situation, environment. Attitudes such as preference of certain kinds of music is more inheritance than attitude about the specific people with whom the person has direct experience. For example, singer people will always become a singer. For example, S.P. Balasubramaniam, S.P. Charan. Okay, NTR, Junior NTR, then Chiranjeevi, Ramcharan, so on and so forth, with their genetical inheritance. So highly heritable attitudes have stronger influence on the behavior and are more difficult to change. So far I have completed nature and definitions of attitude. So it's time for discussion. So you have any queries, doubts, please feel free to ask me. I will try to clarify your doubts. I think we have 2 more classes, no?
Yes, sir.
15th May and 15th May and 22nd May, no? Last. Am I right?
21st, I think, sir.
21st.
21st.
21st. Okay. The 21st is the last class.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we need to cover so many units.
Sir, will you be able to take later as well?
Later, it all depends upon the university, no?
Okay.
We are outside the university. If they give any timetable, then only they need to
Schedule the class.
schedule the things, and they need to give this link line, no? Link also. They want to
Link
create
also, yeah.
link also. Actually, they are recording this thing. Everything is recorded. Yes.
Clear, sir.
Sir,
Clear?
can we throw some light on mere exposure also, sir, that we have not discussed much. Mere exposure.
Okay. So this is a some attitudes are formed by the mere exposure. That is tendency to develop more positive feelings toward opposition individuals the more we are exposed to them. Okay, so for example, watching violence on televisions or mass media. Okay, so if they try to show positive things, so we'll try to develop positive attitudes towards the community or subject or anything. Sometimes they will show us negative things. For example, you can take corona as an example. Okay, somebody died of after vaccination. Somebody got because of other reasons. Some he or she may died. So all televisions telecasted that. So don't take vaccination. If you take vaccination, you must die. Okay, that is negative attitude. But afterwards, they some crores of people took the vaccination, they're all alive. Okay, so it is a tendency to develop more positive feelings towards object and individuals the more we are exposed to them. So in television, so initially vaccination, initially they have got negative schooling, negative things about the vaccination. So many people heard about the vaccine, taking vaccination. So because of that, so many people died also because they won't. They are not taking. They have not taken vaccination. They got coronavirus. Then they have died. Okay. Then this was demonstrated to the following study. Researchers placed the advertisement contain nonsense words such as non-soma in college newspaper. Later, they gave students a list of words to rate which included. So this word did not have any meaning. The mere exposure of the student made them rate it as positive. They have the student list of words to rate which included non-soma. Though this word did not have any meaning, the mere exposure of the students made them rate it as positive. This demonstration in the following study, researchers placed advertisement containing nonsense words such as. So you can come across many advertisements. For example, food prints. They draw the food steps. Okay, it all because of the different. Sometimes they may use nonsense syllables also to attract our attention. So the effect of mere exposure is more effective when it is occurs randomly over time. Repeated exposures have an increased effect when the stimulus is neutral or positive. Repeated exposure of the negative stimulus is always also increased the negative emotion associated with the. For example, if the person has a positive or neutral opinion about reservations, it is likely that he or she might develop favorable attitude towards it because of repeated exposure. Similarly, if a person holds a negative opinion about the reservations, repeated exposure of this might lead to a unfavorable attitude. For example, reservations based on the caste system. Okay, so Constitution amended reservations based on their socio-economic status, based on their communal background. Okay, so different people form different attitudes. Somebody favorable towards the reservation. This reservation may have education implications. Education they have reservation. In the jobs they have reservations. In the political entry also they are having reservations. Yes. Okay. So somebody argues that reservation is must because of underdevelopment, because of there are belongs to unprivileged sections. Okay. Somebody argues that because of reservation they got good political career, they have got bureaucrats. So once they develop, they need to they won't take a reservation again because with reservation they have got good opportunities. So next generation they won't they want to sacrifice their reservations for others' sake. So that is a different opinion. So mere exposure means tendency to develop more positive feelings towards objects and individuals the more we are exposed to them. For example, this vaccination. There are two vaccinations. No, what are the two vaccinations?
Covaxin and Covishield.
Covaxin and Covishield. Okay. Covishield made in Pune, na? Covaxin made in Hyderabad. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So initially, because of this negative propaganda, people hesitate to take vaccination. So after positive thing shown in the TV or electronic media, print media, so all of them went to the different hospitals, primary centers. They took the vaccination. That I think 107 crores people took the vaccination currently. So they are all having good health now. So here mere exposure means if you keep exposed to see positive things about the objects or things, you will develop positive attitude. If you do negative things, then you will have negative attitude. That's it. That is the main theme of the
I think this is, I read somewhere that this is used in advertising agencies, sir.
Yes.
By drinking Bournvita, you will get strength like that.
Yes.
Repeatedly, they are telling.
Ensure the Bournvita, then you will grow height by drinking this. What is that?
Nutramil or something like that.
Nutrilla, then Horlicks. You grow height, weight, so on and so forth. Your brain will develop. Okay. Yes. Any doubt? Still we have 5 minutes time. Okay then. We'll meet tomorrow at 12 to 1:30 p.m. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.